Imagine yourself, uh, Ireland, and Ireland has these rolling hills and these little roads and even smaller paths. And not too much, well, not in the parts where I was in Ireland anyway, not too much forests, but there are forests. And those forests, especially in this time of year, they can be dark. They can be really, really dark. They can be spooky as well. Now, it is an old story from the day that peddlers still went around from town to town with all their merchandise like pots and pans and kettles and haberdashery all on their back. And when they walk with each step, you heard because everything rolled around in their self-made backpacks. And there was this guy, and he was in an area that he had never been before. And he walked and he walked and he walked for hours. It felt like he had been walking for months. And even though it was drizzling, which is not very uncommon for Ireland, since it always seems to drip somewhere there, which is quite good because it wouldn't have been that green island if it wasn't always dripping. So he wasn't really muttering on about it, but he was so tired, and he saw this tree, and with his back against the tree, he sat down. Okay, his ass was wet, so what? It would dry again later. And he was just dozing off a little when he heard footsteps. And there on the path was an amazing looking woman. She was. Hi. Oh, hello, she said kindly. Where are you off to in this time of evening? Oh, I am going to the cafe. It's story night today. I will go there. Is there a cafe? So close, and I'm here with my wet ass. But she went on. And he thought, okay. So he took all his shit on his back and he walked. And he followed her. And she waited. And he waited as well. So she moved on. Actually, her behind was so nice. He didn't want to walk up with her. He just liked to follow her so he could have a great glimpse at her rear end. It was the best rear end he ever saw. And he couldn't help himself. He started to whistle like, which was pretty uncomfortable for her. She stopped, and he stopped. She walked, and he walked. She walked faster, and he walked faster. He didn't even notice that she started to be scared. He didn't understand why she stopped, and walked again, and stopped, and walked again, and turned around. She had spoken so nice to him. Then she entered the cafe. And so did he. Now it was time for a drink. He sat down and she sat down. And many people told stories about whatever. Nice stories. Interesting stories. And then it was his turn. He said, well, I'm a peddler. I don't tell stories. I sell kettles and haberdashery and stuff. Well, but then there's no place for you here. You you mean I have to go out? Well, if you don't have a story, this is story night. It made him angry, and he went out. He pushed the door open, and when he got in, he had bent his neck, because he was a tall man, and now he was so angry he forgot him, and he moved on, and the door closed behind him, and he sat down with a growing lump, and the next moment he woke up, and he tried to stand up, but his legs were all feeling different, and he had some lumps on his chest, and suddenly he found out he missed most important thing in his life. His dick was gone! He had turned into a beautiful she. And she went into the space that he just had come out of, but it was a different space. It was a cafe, but it was filled with all other people, and there was this man that approached her, and it was a dancing night, and they danced, and he had taken her home, and life went on and on, and they had dated a couple of times more often, and they got married, and they got kids, and then one evening, her daughter, she was about 19, 20 years old, she came home crying from a walk through the forest. There had been an asshole, such a creep. He had been following her, and she had asked him a couple of times, "Why don't you come and walk beside me?" But he had just been whistling or something, and she couldn't stop crying. So she comforted her daughter and said, "Oh, there's a storytelling night in the cafe. Come, let's go there." And she was so busy with taking her daughter to the cafe that she forgot to bend her head. And she hit her head against the doorpost, and she was unconscious. And when she stood up again, she heard pans rattle on her back and kettle, and she felt the backpack. Well, he felt the backpack on his back. And he went in and he told a story about an asshole of a peddler that wasn't capable of telling a woman that she was nice. And that's the story.